As y'all know, the podcast number 68, which is episode number 68, is always brought to you by Brooks Brothers Consulting. Brooks Brothers Consulting was started by my brother Philip in June of 2013. We are business development gurus for small business owners as well as banks and other financial institutions. So you need to call us 901-808-3801 if you're interested in developing your sales platform, your sales strategy for progressing your business. And we definitely help you with do that and help connect you with the resources in order to be able to do that from a networking and capital acquisition standpoint. So www.brooksbrothersconsulting.com is the move that you need to make. That's brooksbrothersconsulting.com, or you can call us at 901-808-3801. Of course, the Minding Your Business podcast is brought to you and powered by the Binge Podcast Network. The Binge. We've got podcasters lining up. Shout out to my guy Dominic Lawson. He's actually watching here on Facebook Live. Owls LLC, The Startup Life. That's our Big Brother podcast. And I've been telling y'all this for some time that the Binge Network is on and popping. Wrapping up some of the final details on the website. We've got great shows. And what I want to do is I'm going to get a list of all the shows as we get them on. I didn't want to keep just spotting them on. So as we get our lineup on that y'all are really going to enjoy with the Binge Podcast Network, you're going to enjoy this diverse lineup of shows and podcasts and things like that. So shout out to everybody that's a part of the Binge Podcast Network. Episode 68, it's called Redemption. So let's get that.
What we do here is go back.
All right, so thank you. Today is Friday, November the 2nd, 2018. Man, we're already into November. Man, this year has flown by. This has been a wild and crazy year, brothers and sisters. We are at November the 2nd of 2018. I mean, we're less than 60 days from 2019 already. We just ended the damn summer. I mean, here in Memphis, it was just 80 degrees 2 weeks ago. Maybe less than that. I've been doing some traveling here lately. I was down in Atlanta earlier this week. Great times down there. A lot of good business contacts were made and things like that. So shout out to everybody that I got a chance to connect with down in Atlanta. It was a lot of fun, a lot of great things, a lot of good ideas respond from those interactions and whatnot. So it's great. The banking industry is ever evolving. Some of the regulatory pieces are starting to fall, and so you got to make sure that the banks are still accountable to the things that they're doing in the community, low and moderate income, and that's where I come into play. So I'm serving as that accountability platform for them to continue to do that, no matter what happens to the regulatory environment that governs them. That's starting, as this current presidential layout with President Donald Trump is loosening up some of the regulatory areas, for better or for worse. There's pros and cons to that, but so anyway, it's been a great week with that. It's been a wild week in the news, let me tell you. I mean, people are getting bombs delivered to them. You had another school shooting. You had the Pittsburgh synagogue issue. You had Klay Thompson with the NBA's Golden State Warriors dropping 14 threes. I mean, damn, he shot 20. How the hell you shoot 25 threes? I wish my coach would have let me shoot 25 threes back when I was playing. What up, Justice? I wonder if Coach Tippett would have let you shoot 25 threes in the game. My guy Justice Bolden, great Memphian, he's out on the West Coast. But I saw he jumped on the Facebook Live. But yeah, I never played for any coach that let me drop or even attempt 25 threes in the game. But Klay Thompson scored 52 points. Is unbelievable performance by him, and he did it in 56 dribbles. That's one of the crazy things with him. He did it in 56 dribbles. Man scored 52 points. He almost scored a point a dribble. I mean, that's crazy. That is crazy. But anyway, it's been a wild week. But something occurred this week too, as it related to basketball. So if you're not the biggest sports fan, I apologize. But I'm going to make a strong analogy between a sports figure and the title of this particular episode, number 68, which is called Redemption. Also this week, along with Klay Thompson's performance, there was one Derrick Rose. And he's a little bit partial to me because I've had a chance to meet him and his family. He's a former University of Memphis player. He was on the 2008 National Championship runner-up University of Memphis Tigers, who lost to the University of Kansas in the 2008 national title game down in Texas. He was a freshman on that team, and then he was the number one pick in the 2008 NBA draft, was a Rookie of the Year, and in 2011 was the youngest NBA MVP. I think he was 22, 23 years old at the time, and he became the MVP of the entire NBA. This is one Derrick Rose. And then in 2012, he suffered a catastrophic, tragic knee injury. And that began a cycle of 5, 6, going on 7 years of rehab and constant trying to get back into the right frame of mind to be able to play. And then he began to bounce around teams and things like that. And he was the subject of humor as far as from memes and things like that. He was subject to a lot of criticism. He went through a couple cases from a legal standpoint, one being that it resulted in the University of Memphis having to vacate their Final Four run, their national championship run. Another that involved a young lady that ended up getting through it, but there was a young lady that made a accusation that him and 2 other men forcibly had sexual relations with her, and that there was no quote-unquote consent. And so these are all things that he gave his lady gave birth to his son, and so he had some highs and things like that, but there were a lot of lows, a lot of criticisms coming out of Chicago. I think he went to the Knicks, then he went to Utah, and then he's picked up by the Cavaliers. He left the team when he was with New York for like a week, like nobody knew where the hell he was. He had some issues in Cleveland and dealing with some things, contemplating whether he was even going to continue to play. So what I want to do today, very briefly, is I want to link this to personal and professional development. And I hope that you, as you're listening to this podcast or you're watching on Facebook Live, that you'll really take this to heart when it comes to redemption. I want to use Derrick Rose as kind of an analogy for doing this. It's without question that, all of us make mistakes. You'll hear everybody say that, particularly after they've made one. They'll say, well, we all make mistakes. Which is true. That goes without saying. I don't think anybody had to do any extensive research to find out that, yes, indeed, that as human beings, we are prone to making mistakes. Oftentimes, many of us find early success in life. We find early success in business. We may come from less than ideal conditions from our family standpoint or with our parents and things like that. Or maybe you do. Maybe you come from a very ideal situation. Either way, you may find some early success, as Derrick Rose did. And there's, you can always go back. Your hindsight's always 20/20, but you can enjoy this success, and you do it your way, and things seem to kind of roll for you and whatnot. This is how it was with Derrick. Things went very well for him. He came right into the league. He's starting. He's playing on a team that had been down, that's starting to win. And a lot of us are like that too, personally and professionally. We get early wins. And then tragedy hits. Then something happens, right? And there are different levels to what happens and things like that to us, but we get our injury, our knee gets blown out the same way like Derrick Rose. That can happen personally. You may have early wins in your relationship, in your marriage, and whatnot, and then something happens down the line, right? And then all of a sudden, what you thought it was at this point is not it anymore, right? And those things happen. You may have early success in your business. You start a business, whatever industry that is, and people are feeling it. They like the product. They like the service that you're providing. You've got your means of getting information out, your marketing, your advertising. People want your product. You're having the good issues of scaling your business and whatnot. Or maybe you get that new job and you pick up information real quick, and you get a couple promotions early on in the first few years, and maybe you started out at $28,000 a year, and then 3 years later you're making $50,000 or $55,000, whatever it is. So you're collecting these early wins, and for some people they can't always handle it. They can't handle the success, right? For others, they tend to be more humble and they can kind of handle it and kind of go with the flow. But in either scenario, you may find yourself minding your business. You may find yourself taking a loss or two. And when you take a loss or two, just like Derrick did, people jump off your bandwagon. So from a personal standpoint, your relationship doesn't go as well. And so now your spouse, or I guess nowadays they want to call them spouse equivalents, and they come up with all these terms for things now. But your man, your woman, let's say your spouse, significant other, whatever you want to call it, a few things happen. The money's not quite as good. Things hit people health-wise. A poor decision is made, or decisions are made that lead to a domino effect. Same with your business. Things are going well. You decide to expand into a new market. That turns out to be a bad decision, or something happens. There's an illness. There's change in consumer desires and demand and things like that. All these things happen personally and professionally, right? And you could find yourself in a position where you're taking an L. Sometimes maybe for the first time in that avenue, the first time in your relationship, the first time in your business. Just like Derrick, that was his first major injury, his first major setback. You know what I mean? And that can be devastating. What up, Shay Brown? How you doing? What's going on? Asia, how you doing? Good afternoon. Cousin Tierra, what's going on, girl? I was just in Atlanta and missed you. I'm about to come back so I can check y'all out. But yeah, so you can suffer that first major hit, that first major hit. Mike Tyson always is quoted, it's kind of a funny quote, is saying, you can have all the strategy in the world, you can have your plan, but strategy and plan goes out the window with the first punch. The first time you get hit in the chin, you get hit in the gut, you get hit across their face, strategy goes out the window. And that's what you saw with Derrick. Derrick, when you hear him now in interviews, he talks about it, where he ran his body too hard. If he could go back and do it over again, I can't remember who he gave that quote to, he wouldn't run his body so hard early on because he wanted it all. Aren't we like that? Sometimes we want it all. We want to jump in. We want to grind. We're in this hyper grind mode. We want to have it all. We want to have it all on the job. I want to be the CEO. I want to be the CFO. I want to be the vice president. I want to make $100,000 a year, and I want to be able to do this and do that. Same with my business. I want my business to jump off. I want everybody to be feeling it. I want family to buy from me, friends, Facebook, Instagram. I want to be on TV. I want people to recognize me when they see me. Right? We have all these desires and things like that, and we collect a few early wins. Maybe that does happen. A lot of times we always look at the angle of, it takes years, it takes time, and things like that. No. Sometimes you can experience, early successes. What's up, Elliot, the main sales? Kaylin, how you doing, girl? What's going on? Thank y'all for jumping on. Leslie, how you doing? Just shouting out to folks on Facebook Live. But yeah, you can have early successes. Sometimes the same with school. Like, some of you that have children and things like that, they hit off to school real early. They're making really good grades. It seems like, things are going real well. The teacher likes them. They like the teacher. They enjoy going to school. They pick out their own outfit. You know what I mean? They can't wait to get to school. Sunday night, they already thinking about what they're going to do on Monday. And so as people, we experience these early successes sometimes. Everything's not always a struggle and a grind to have to get there. Yes, we have that too. But sometimes you experience these early successes and maybe you're not quite ready for it. And not that you're not so much ready for the success, but you're not ready for when the downtime inevitably comes that we all face. We all face these downtimes to various levels, right? And that's what happened with Derrick. So Derrick spent, from the time he wins the MVP, the very next year in the playoffs, first round, blows out his knee. Now, he's probably thinking, like a lot of us, that, I'm going to go rehab, I'll be back next year, and yada, yada, yada. And then you find out that you try to get back out there, and you're not quite yourself. Something's wrong. Something ain't right. And that happens to us personally too. We take an L. We think, I've been successful. I can go back and kind of do this and do that. And it turns out to not necessarily be the case. It may take a little bit more time to get back there. You got to have the right diagnosis, the right frame of mind. And sometimes we don't always have the right frame of mind when we go into stuff. And Derrick probably, if he was sitting here, probably would admit that there were some things that he would do differently as a result of his process. And then there's some circumstances that hit. He had the court cases and things like that, the stuff that with Memphis where, he's kind of got, a love-hate relationship then with the Memphis fans based on stuff going back to his high school days and the SAT and all this kind of thing. But so Derrick's going through all these things. I'm using his story as an analogy for those of us, you're working a job, you're in business, you've got family. We go through all these things, right? Just in the course of life. Things happen. Sometimes, again, we make bad choices. Sometimes it's not so much the choices that we make, but timing's bad. And sometimes just unfortunate things happen. All these things occurred in the last few years with Derrick Rose. He leaves the Bulls. The fans turn on him somewhat in Chicago. He's sitting out whole years. People trying to figure out, is this dude hungry anymore? Does he still want to play, or he don't won the MVP and he's good? He done got the big contract. Some of us are like that too. We may not make the kind of money that Derrick made, but you may be in this situation where you get complacent. You're okay with I done made my 100,000. 100,000 ain't really sugar honey iced tea no more, right? But you get to where my business done good. My kids are in 8th grade now. They they get ready to go to high school. We good. On the job I'm making 85,000. I'm making 100,000, 150,000 a year. So I'm good, right? I'm not hungry anymore to move up to that next level. We go through all these periods, right? Here's the thing that you saw with Derrick Rose, and that you see with people as a best practice. When you experience these downs in the relationship, downs on the job, downs in the business, downs with the kids, with the parents, with your neighborhood, with your own self, mental health and physical health, is that you've got to, surround yourself with the right kind of people. If you look at the kind of people Derrick was probably hanging around compared to who he's around now, it's different. Now he's a father. He's 30 years old. Those things make a difference too as you evolve. But one of the first things you got to do on your drive to redemption. So you may, your relationship failed, your marriage failed, so now you're facing divorce, or you've just experienced divorce. You've had a loss in your family. Your own physical health is taking a turn for the worse. Maybe your children were doing well in school, and now that's kind of their A's and B's are starting to turn into C's and low B's and high D's and all this kind of thing. and you're trying to figure out, how do you get out of this rut? And it's the process that you've got to embrace. And one of the things that Derrick did is, Derrick got to a point even just last year when he was with Cleveland, right? The stories came out that he didn't know if he was going to return to the team and whether he was going to play anymore because he was suffering all these setbacks with his physical health and then his mental capacity, and he's looking at his peers, right? Don't we do that? We get on the timeline and we start comparing ourselves to what other people are doing. And we start thinking, or a lot of us are like this, they start thinking, well, I'm not doing as well as fill in the blank, whatever person that you put at your eye level or above. We do that a lot as human beings. We stack rank each other. You know what I mean? We're always doing this. Everything's, compare and contrast with each other. One of the things that I admire, it wasn't as much about Derrick scoring 50 points in that game. That is the result of the work that he's been putting in. So as another best practice it's not just about the end result. He's got 70 something more games to play this year, right? So it's not about just celebrating the fact that he scored 50. His ability to score 50 comes from his ability to remain focused, get around the right people, and continue to work, continue to grind, continue to remind yourself of your abilities, right? Evolve your abilities and your mindset. That's what the 50-point game means. Look, he could average 10 points a game the rest of the year. It's the fact that he showed that even in one night, he can go out and lead his team to a win. Not only did he score 50, the man blocked the shot for, I can't remember who they were playing, but he blocked somebody's shot to actually win the game. Now, he's not like Klay Thompson. He's got a different game. I told y'all, Klay Thompson dribbled the ball 56 times to score 52 points. Well, I think Derrick Rose must have dribbled the ball about 400 times that night. But they're different players. They have a different game, right? But it's just like my man Elliot the Man Sales just said right here on Facebook. He said mental recovery. That's what I mean when you've got to surround yourself with the right kind of people. You got to evolve your thinking and your mindset, even before your physical self follows. It's go follow wherever your mind is, right? So Derrick, through these years, right, he's got year after year with these setbacks. Then, he got to the Knicks. He was able to play 50, 60 games, but, maybe he averaged like 14, 15 points a game, but you could tell he wasn't the same Derrick. So he's got to hear that from people. People who never played the game, people who know nothing sometimes about basketball are critiquing his game. Isn't that like that with us? Sometimes you get people that's not even in your lane, not even in your business. They don't know anything about your job, about what you do, but they're critiquing what you do, right? They got criticisms, not always constructive. They want to talk about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And they have no idea. They have no damn idea of what you do and how you do it. Right? And so imagine being in the public eye and having people write about you, blog about you, meme about you. Right? So you've got all this that you got to try to keep away from your psyche. Right? And we have that to different extents, just those of us that aren't in the NBA. Your family can be like that. Your friends can be like that. Folks on social media can be like that. Co-workers can be like that. And so the right mindset is so critical to your road to redemption. Like I said, Derrick may not get to where he's going to be an MVP anymore, but his 50-point game shows that if you get in the right mindset, and you want to keep progressing and you're doing what you love and you surround yourself with the right people, man, you can achieve heights. Keep in mind, 50 points is still his career high from a guy that was the youngest MVP in the league. Not only did he score 50 points is a career high. Most points he's ever scored in the NBA for a guy that used to average 25, 26 a game. At 30 years old, 30-year-old point guard. Been in the league now, 10, 11 years? So what I want to do from an analogy standpoint is, for minding your business listeners, is you may be going through the struggle right now. You may be going through your storm. Like I say, relationships not going as well, and it don't have to be that it's on the end. Sometimes marriages go through ebbs and flows. So your marriage may not be as hot like it was. You know what I mean? You may not be communicating on the same page as much. You may have had early successes in your relationship, and now it's not quite hitting. It's not quite there. So something's impeded that, right? On your job, you may have been doing very well, getting promoted, things like that. Now all of a sudden, nobody, you can't, you're disconnected. They're not giving you projects as much as they used to. You're not getting promoted as quick. They're having you train people. This is the worst thing that folks hate is, they're bringing in new people, paying them more money, and now you got to train the new person that's making more money than you, and all this kind of thing. Your business, you had early success in your business. The market changes, you change, vendors change, and now you're not quite doing as well. Your mindset, that's where you got. So if you start anywhere, clear your mind, declutter your mind, look at who you're hanging around. Oh, what's the quote? If you show me the 5 people you hang around the most, I'll show you. That's you. You're going to be somewhere in the middle of the 5 people that you hang around the most, that you talk to the most. So it's critical. You need to address that on your road to redemption. You can redeem yourself. If you're going through a tough time right now in your business, you can redeem yourself. You're looking at, damn, we had a tough year in 2018. What's 2019 going to look like? Right? You're looking at, dang, I got passed up for a promotion. I'm applying for all these jobs, and all they doing is sending me an email back saying thanks but no thanks. I'm going to the doctor. The doctor's telling me this. She's telling me that. All these things we go through, the kids, everything that you're going through, you can be redeemed. And that's the spirit of what Derrick gave us the other night. That's the greatness of it, that he's able to come back and have that type of game again after everything he's been through, all the knee surgeries and the rehab. I'll tell you, anybody, when I played, I saw guys rehab. You want to see somebody struggle through something. Yeah, and it's not to stack rank it, because people go through different things, but when you see a man, for his livelihood, because keep in mind, in professional basketball, you have a finite amount of time that you can play. It's a young man's sport. It's not a sport designed for you to be 35, 40, 50, 55 years old and playing at that level, right? And so there's a lot of pressure for guys to stay in the game and to keep their spot. I mean, you think work is bad, you can, ask Andrew Harrison, who just got cut by the Memphis Grizzlies this year. He goes from starting opening night 2 years in a row to not even being on the team the next year. So it's a swift transition sometimes. So guys would do a lot of crazy things to try to stay healthy. And I've seen guys do some crazy things, man, to try to stay healthy, because that's their livelihood. So there's a lot of pressures, and you put a lot of pressure on yourself when you're going through them down times. But just to summarize, watch your mindset, watch who you hang around, okay? What kind of positivity, what kind of truth that you hang around. You've got to continue to work at whatever area that we're talking about. You got to continue to work, and you've got to believe. You've got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your process, even if it's not picking up right away, right? So you're trying to rebound your business, and people not, they're not sharing. The freest thing folks can do is like and share, and they won't always do that, right? People are funny. People get really pessimistic about stuff. They'll share everything that a Kardashian does, and they don't mind being associated with them. But I'm just using them as an example. Anything that they don't know, they have no chance of ever meeting them. They'll tie themselves to that, and then people that they, like and comment on, post all week, every day, all day long, and they won't share their stuff. That just happens. All right? That's not anything you can worry about. You've got to compel people to support you and help you on that road to redemption. And they'll do it. They will. They'll do it. But you've got to have the right mindset. You can't worry about the superficial of all that stuff, the online stuff. And who's going to do this and do that. Everything's not for everybody. Even your family and your friends and those closest to you. Everything is not for them. So don't get upset about that. They may not be quick to help you on your road to redemption. In some cases, unfortunately, they may be contributors to some of the issues that you face. Either way, y'all, stay in the game, right? That's what Derrick contemplated retirement, right? But he had to have something had to drive him to keep doing it. He's got the money. He done made the money. He's under contract. In the NBA, he's got a guaranteed contract. Aside from a few nuggets that are in the contract that would take him out, but he's guaranteed. So what keeps him? Something has to keep the love going. He loves the game. So do you love your process? Josh Midget here on Facebook Live. People that love to see you struggling and want to keep you down. Yeah, I mean, sure, there are people like that, and you got to be able to discern, Josh, and how you're gonna. So are you gonna surround yourself with those kind of people, whether you're online or in the physical, in real life? Or if you don't change anything, then nothing's gonna change. My guy Daniel Hodges, bring in the fire, bro, and so many lessons to learn, and lessons to others, and give up. We don't give up. Nah, man. The only time you fix your losses is when you get out of the game. That's something that some of them gambler folks will tell you. The only time your losses are fixed, or not just gambling, but people even in investment, in the investment community. Once you get out, you fixed your losses. So once you sell out, you fixed your losses. That's the only time your losses are fixed. Otherwise, you have a chance to continue to earn, right, in an investment standpoint. It's the same thing in life. Don't give up. You may be sitting here Friday, you may be listening to this, you're sitting in the cubicle, you're driving on the road, you're sitting in the hospital, you're about to go in, you're just coming out of surgery, mama's coming out of surgery, you're not sure how daddy's going to pull through. You've been down to the pediatrician, working with the child. These are all tough things that we all go through. You may have made bad choices. Bad choices in a relationship. Bad choices with yourself, with your health. You may have made poor choices some years ago that you're still paying for. You know what I mean? You may have made a poor choice today that you're anticipating issues coming forth. You may have selected the wrong spouse. The wrong spouse may have selected you. Y'all both may be wrong and y'all selected each other. Whatever that is. If you stay in the game, keep progressing, keep the right mindset, y'all, you can achieve wonders and have a redemption. Not just for one game like Derrick Rose. See, that 50-point game, like I say, signifies so many different things, man. The fact that he's healthy, that he feels good about himself, about his game. Now he's getting all kinds of love. Where before he was getting memes and all that kind of stuff. And that comes with the territory. Yeah, I'm sure he understands that. But you can be redeemed. Your business can flourish again. You will get that promotion. Your children will do better in school. You may reconcile with your spouse. You may not. It may go through a divorce. That's not the end. You can still go on and you can enjoy life and be great in life and what you do. And you may have a spouse again. You may not. That may be your choice. But yeah, Daniel, you got to bring the fire, and you got to keep that mentality going of being great, even when you're going through the tough times. You notice also that one thing that I always speak to, particularly in business, that you see with Derrick is Derrick had to drop the competitive piece of it. So competition is the mold of sports, right? And we tend to take that into our personal and professional lives. But competition really grows from the spirit of insecurity. Because the reason you compete is to prevent something, right? I've got to win so that, fill in the blank, I don't lose. Right? I've got to win so I can be seen as this way. So we get into this competitive spirit, and in Derrick's case, he had to stop competing against every other point guard, every other coach, every other new player coming into the league. You know who the only person that he needed to compete with was Derrick. It was a game. Derrick had to overcome a game of Derrick versus Derrick, a one-on-one game. That's what we all have to overcome. If you get into, when I played ball, one of the things, I was a marginal talent, right? One of the things that helped me elevate my game was if I can get my opponent to focus on me more than the game. So I had to talk a lot, right? I had to talk a lot of junk. I had good talent, but I was a marginal talent. But I maxed my talent because I was good at getting my opponent to focus more on me and what I was saying and doing than what they were being called to do for their job. I was a great distraction. Because the only person I was competing against was me. Not the defender in front of me, the guy guarding me in the game. He was just there because his coach told him to guard me. I'm not trying to score on him. I'm scoring on me. I know where I'm trying to go, but I have to battle myself. I have to battle my own inhibitions, my own insecurities, and things like that. Dude in front of me can't guard me. Once you get to a certain skill set, he can't guard you. She can't guard you. These people that are in front of you, they can't guard y'all. It's just like in basketball. Once in the NBA, everybody can play, right? It's a stud versus stiff league. The whole strategy is I want to get my stud against a stiff. Anybody can be a stiff and anybody can be a stud depending on the matchup. I'll give you an example. If I'm 6'10", right, and the guy guarding me is 6'2", what am I going to do? I'm 8 inches taller than him, and I weigh more than him, and I do all this stuff. What am I going to do? I'm going to take him down to the post and body him up. What's up, man? Oh, yeah, it's good stuff, ain't it, man?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
I was just checking you out.
Oh, yeah. Check me out, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. 6'10" against 6'2". What I'm going to do? I'm going to take him in the post. Now, I'm 6'2", and the guy switches out on me, and he's 6'10". What am I going to do? I'm going to back the ball up, and I'm going to drive past him, and either he's going to foul me, I'm going to score, or I'm going to score and he going to foul me. Those are my only options. Or I'm going to pass it to somebody. My fourth option is I'm going to pass it to somebody, the open man, that's going to make a shot. That's the same mentality that you got to have out here. So one of the things Derrick had to stop doing, I imagine, is stop competing against everybody. You're not competing against everybody unless you're grossly insecure. And you're going to get taken advantage of out here. As this economy continues to develop, the insecure are going to get taken advantage of, particularly when they're on display. And those that are overly competitive, everything's a me versus somebody else, you're not competing against people third party from you. MYB, everybody that you're competing against is in you. You're competing against yourself. Whether it's business, whether it's personal, relationship, whatever it is, you're competing against you. You're your toughest opponent. For me, I'm my toughest opponent when I look in the mirror. Because I'm the one that can stop me. Not the defender in front of me, not a coach, I'm the one that can stop me. The only person that stopped me from getting to that goal is me. And that's the mentality that you have to have. And when you recognize that, you begin working on yourself. So as you take this back, don't get so caught up into compete. Yes, there's an element of competition in business or on your job. You might be competing for the next position. But that hiring manager is going to pick you for reasons unique to you, what you bring to the table, not your ability to beat out somebody else. If that's your mentality, you're going to make a mistake that could be critical, because you're not focusing in on you, on what you have to do. You're worrying about the next man or woman. Don't worry about the next man or woman and what they doing, or they may be in their great season and you're in your down season, or vice versa. Your competition your whole life is always going to be you. That's just the bottom line. And if you put your insecurities on display through being this overly competitive, right, then people like me go take advantage. Because I take advantage of the overly competitive, the pessimistic, the folks that are going to be so worried about all the noise going on outside, and then they're going to look up and I'm going to have it done. While they still worried about me, or worried about they're comparing likes and shares and all that, and I'm already have it done. Like people at these award things are fun. I've done loans for several of these people. They can hold up the awards. I'm not always going to get selected for the awards and the speaking stuff and all that. I just fund them. I'm the platform. Right? That's fine. That's where I found my lane is. So I'm not competing against anybody for all that stuff. Y'all never seen me compete or, I guess, politic or campaign for awards. Go pull up any post where I say, vote for me on this. Nah. I fund them. I'm behind the scenes. Okay? But that's my role. Right? You got to know your role. But stop getting into all this pessimistic competition. I don't know him. Hell, everybody on Facebook you don't know. And you still do stuff, you know what I mean? So, listen. Derrick had to learn to stop competing against everybody else but him. Once he learned to compete with himself and how to get himself, again, that mindset, that's when I imagine he turned the corner. But as long as his mental state was off, worrying about all the external third-party stuff, and that's what we have to do every day. Don't get caught up in all this other stuff. That's why I start every day. Before y'all see me get on social media, I've already been up an hour looking at what I need to be doing, either recapping, planning for the day, I'm spending time with me. I don't get up and spend time with y'all, right? Some people, their first thing, as soon as they get out of bed, is they grab their phone, they start scrolling through the timeline. Let me see what I missed since I went to bed. Because there's always this comparison, contrast, insecurity. Nah. Spend time with yourself, spend time with your family. Then get online, if that's what you want to do. All right? But Derrick Rose, shout out to him for the 50-point game, but it means so much more than just the one game of him scoring 50. He was redeemed because he stuck with it. Changed his mindset, got his body right, even as he picked up some age. And has to change his game some. Reinvent yourself. That's what he did, and that's what I hope you take with you, whether it's to your job, to your business, to your family, to your relationship, whatever that is. All right? So I hope this was able to help somebody. If not, let me know, and I can add some more color to it. But this is the Minding Your Business podcast. I'm your host, Champ Ron. Shout out to everybody. L. Mack, Devitt Watson. What's going on? Todd, how you doing? Shavandra, hey, how you doing, girl? Thank you for joining on Facebook Live. But this was episode 68, Redemption. And you too can be redeemed, y'all. Friday, November the 2nd, 2018. We're wrapping up this year. Are you ready for 2019? You got to start getting ready. All this holiday stuff, and then it's going to be, boom, the year's going to be right there. So subscribe and listen to this podcast, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcast, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, all the places where you could do that. Check out the Binge Podcast Network. Reach out to me, Ron, at themybpodcast.com. If you're interested in joining the network, if you're a new podcaster, we'd love to speak with you, myself and Dominic Lawson. If you're an existing podcaster, you want to send over some of your shows, we'll listen to it. We'll look to maybe add you to the podcast network. And we want to provide this platform for people to get their message out, control their narrative, grow their business, grow the business of others. Whatever that your goal is, we want to help you reach that and connect it with people all around. I've got people listening to this. We've crossed over 24,000 downloads with this podcast in just a little over a year. So I'm grateful to everybody that has shared and liked, everybody that's been a guest on the podcast. I'm really appreciative. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Man, y'all be great. Champ Ron, the Minding Your Business podcast. Entrepreneurship, real estate, trending news. There's no business like minding your own.